What's going on, everybody? It is Monday again. I feel like I keep doing these things on Monday. I don't know why. So what I'm going to cover today is a question that was asked. What's the difference between undercover and marked units? That should be somewhat self-explanatory, but I'll do a quickie on that. But the other was, which is better? High visibility policing or undercover? So here's the issue. You're comparing apples and oranges. You're comparing a sports car to an SUV. Both of them serve a purpose, but they can't both do the same thing. The sports car, sometimes I just want to go fast.
116. 116! I'm going fast again!
Sometimes I just have to get groceries. So each one has their benefit and each one of them has their negative side. So the same applies to the topic we're discussing when it comes to high visibility policing and undercovers who are driving totally unmarked cars, not even things you would expect them to be driving, wearing normal clothes. The idea is they're undercover. You don't know, you'd have no idea that they're a police officer. We'll go ahead and start with this. High visibility policing. That's going to be your marked police cruiser, your uniformed officer, lights, the whole 9 yards. You know it when you see it. What that's going to accomplish is, in my opinion, more of a crime suppression. It's a little hard to explain because you also have to take it case by case. What kind of policing are you talking about? If you're talking about drug calls, for example, then marked units such as myself very rarely are going to make any big cases. I mean, unless you just somehow stumbled across it during a traffic stop or something like that. Your average citizen contact, you're maybe going to get a little bit of something out of their pockets if they don't know the game well enough, if you get your search on. But those cases very rarely turn into anything of significance. You're not going to get any major time on one of those. So in that case, your undercovers are able to go in, make the deals directly, okay? That's where you get your more significant and serious charges. And then if they work their way up, start doing bigger and bigger deals, you end up with bigger charges. You also end up with a 100% solid case because you have a sworn officer in an undercover capacity doing these deals directly. So you get away from that whole "those aren't my pants" excuse, which sounds silly, but that's where years and years and years ago that whole thing started. You'd search a guy, you'd find some dope in his pocket. "Oh, those aren't my pants. I just put them on. They're my brother's pants. They're somebody's pants," right? And that became a defense. That became a legitimate argument for people. And so that's where I was saying, if you back up to like the citizen contacts where you end up getting a search on and you find some dope in their pocket, it's so easy to get out of that stuff when it comes to the legal system. So you're not going to have a lot of traction, make really solid cases. So back to the uniformed police officers, like I said, if you're patrolling a high crime area, high drug area, what that visibility is going to do, it's going to suppress it, but you're just going to drive it indoors or you're going to drive it to another location. You're not going to solve that problem in any way, shape, or form. So in that case, high visibility policing it's a band-aid at best. You're not going to really accomplish anything. You're just moving the problem from one location to another. Or they get smarter about it. Like I said, they just go inside their house instead of standing on the street corner, do the deal inside. There again, maybe you get lucky on a stop if you're watching the house. It's a lot more work. Now, let's go to the other side of your undercovers. Like I mentioned before, if you're making drug cases and doing things like that, that's the cat's meow. That's how you do it if you want to get a solid case, doing surveillance, watching these people. But after that, they're kind of hands off. They do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a lot of paperwork, applying for warrants and whatnot. But when it comes time for the actual arrest, maybe make an entry into the home, you're back to uniformed officers, maybe the SWAT team, high visibility policing. So if you kind of see where I'm going with this, they're both very valuable assets, and you almost have to have one to have the other, or work together. no one side of that alone can do the entire job. Now, when it comes to high visibility policing, one of the areas that it is good for is, let's say you have a neighborhood that's been getting a lot of burglaries, unlocked vehicle burglaries, kids running around, criminal mischief, an issue that's going on a regular basis. Now that, if you flood the area with the high visibility policing and marked units, it starts to get that message that there is a high police presence in that area, and a lot of times you can fix that situation. Like I said earlier though, if it's kids, you might fix it. If it's not, all you do is shift that problem to another location. So it's a struggle. Typically, your uniformed officers in your marked police cruisers are going to respond to your calls for service, your domestics that happen, your retail thefts, your fights at a bar, things like that. When we get notified, we have to respond, we have to be seen, we have our lights and sirens, and we're gonna do that investigation on scene, wrap it up, make an arrest, or solve the issue and have it move on. That's gonna be our primary role. Now, when you come to your undercovers, they are primarily going to be doing your long-term investigations, working confidential informants, making deals, finding out the players in the game, and building a much longer, methodical case. They're in it for the long haul, the long run, to get that end result of a solid conviction with prison time. With the way that's set up, unfortunately, they have to do a lot of this stuff behind the scenes, hence why they're undercover. Well, guys, I hope that answered the question for the person who asked. I know that's a pretty basic description of it, but it doesn't get a whole lot more complicated than that. Like I said in the beginning, that the biggest issue with that question is you're comparing apples and oranges. They're so far different of aspects of the job, you can't really say which one is better than the other. Because like I said, some of the things you can do with one, you can't do with the other, and vice versa. So you need to have both of them. They're both extremely important aspects of the job and an agency as a whole. And just like everything in life, by us all working together, that's how we get the job done and everything works nice and smooth. All right, guys, I know this is a little bit of a short video. I wanted to get that out. I hope it was helpful to you. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, or me on the road with some of my other vlogs, I actually bring the camera with me on the calls if I can, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more of that. I hope everybody's having a great day. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.